Mark, anything else you want to add to that? I think it's a great subject. I might call.
Yeah, it's I was just wondering, so you're in a place where you are worried about what people think, but how do you get beyond that? You just keep putting yourself in a situation until you finally let go. Is that the way to do it, or is there maybe a more efficient way to learn to let go of what people think?
You've got to go back in your heart. You've got to get out of your head. You've got to, because your head's got the story about what people think of you. The story's in your head, in your memories, only memories. But as soon as you go back in your heart, inside your heart, you don't care what they think, because inside your heart, you're free. You're connected to the oneness. So you just got to sit there and think to yourself, right, back in my heart, be inside my heart. My soul is sitting here doing it. As soon as you put yourself in your mind, you look up and you go, oh, I don't care what they think. But when you're in your head, you've got all the stories about what your self-worth and whether you're good enough or what people like you or they respect you, all in your head. In the conscience of your head. But as soon as you're in your heart, it just changes it. So that would be the answer to your question. Just put your mind back in your heart and go, and then put your hand on your heart and go, and as soon as you do that, you look at the people and go, oh, it doesn't worry me anymore. I don't care. But as soon as you go in your head, stories come flying back at me about self-worth. Horrible, horrible, horrible.
Maybe a different way to look at this is, how do we get rid of the stories?
Oh, well, that's the other way, of course, is to do the stories. Actually, I've got, God, you brought up, that's a great question. So there's a great way of getting rid of core stories. There's a lot of different ways, and people have been doing it for years and different ones, but I come across one just recently I want to share it with you. And so they use NLP to, and there's lots of different tappings and the healing codes that I do, the Q codes that are up on YouTube. They're all ways of breaking stories, breaking your connection to the story. So if you have a story about self-worth or something like that, I'll use that one about, or not being good enough, we'll use an easy one. Not being good enough, you have a story about it. So when you do something, then it triggers a story, you're not good enough. And so what NLP does is when you do something that triggers a story, it redirects the thought somewhere else, so you can't get back to that whole story of when you felt you were good enough when you were a kid. But that's what's driving the story, is this one experience. And it drives, and it's been that one experience when you were young has been justified in your life by other things totally happening to prove that story is correct. You're not good enough, then something will come and say, oh, you're not very good at that, and then you prove your story. And then you do that, you fail at that, oh, you're not very good at that. And it just keeps amplifying the same story through your life until you go back and say, well, that story's not true. And then these things stop happening to justify your story. Because if you believe something's true, then things in life are going to keep happening to bring that story to life, so that you actually keep justifying your story is true until you change the story, and it doesn't need to happen. And so what you're talking about, it's such an important part. Go back to the story and to break the story. And as I say, there's lots of different ways, but the new way I found was, it's been, I'll put the link up on the Forest Rocks community group. I'll put the link up for there's a guy did a podcast about it. It talks a lot about it. You have to wade through lots of the chatter about it, but he talks about this particular method that I've done, and it's been, I think there's been like 200 studies done on it, 200 peer-reviewed studies done on it, how effective it is. And what you do is you find a particular subject. You can think of something that happened when you got really embarrassed as a kid, or something happened when you were a kid, and you can remember that instant. And then every day for 4 days, you write for 20 minutes, between 15 and 30 minutes, you write about that subject. So if it's I got really upset when Joe Black stole my truck when I was a kid, and I got really upset about that. And then I go, okay, and I react when somebody steals something. I react to them because it's triggering that story, how I felt when somebody stole it, the violation I felt when somebody stole something, and I still react today. I'm not saying this is me. I'm just making one up. And so I still react today if somebody steals something. I still feel the same feeling that kid felt. So then I go back and say, what you do is you write 4 days and you go, how did I feel when he stole the truck from me? And then you just start writing. And whatever comes up, you just keep writing. I was annoyed, I was upset, I felt that he took something that wasn't his, it annoyed me, my parents didn't come and support me, my sister wasn't there. And you just keep writing, and keep writing, and you time it, you put a timer on, and you just kind of time it, and Josephine and I, we do it, and that's about 20 to 30 minutes. We just keep writing. And then you get to the end of the day one, and you'll be surprised what comes up, because all the other stories associated with that story come up too. And they all come up, and then the next day you do exactly the same story. You write down, he stole my drug, why did I react like that? And I start writing again. And then a lot of the stuff comes up that I wrote yesterday, and then it goes off in a different direction and starts talking about, well, it doesn't really matter if people stole the stuff. If he really wanted it, maybe he just never had anything in his life, and he just was jealous of what you had. And all the stuff starts coming up about what's going on for him and what's going on for you. And then the third day, by the fourth day, you get to it, you start writing, and you go, well, it just doesn't matter, it was only a truck. And you get to the stage where you just let it go, and then you go back and you think of the situation of the truck, and you go, nah, it just didn't really matter, it's just a truck, and it's gone. And this has been tried and proven way of getting rid of stories. It only takes 4 days, 4 20-minute sessions, and it reprograms your mind to there and lets it go, because you realize that it wasn't what you thought it was. And it's such a powerful thing. And as I say, it's been practiced a lot. It's a very, very famous thing now. It's out there in a lot of worlds. And so that's another one. So I don't know why I need to share that today, but somebody today watching this or watching this later, it's going to be really useful for you to do that. And I can't encourage you to try it. It's a fascinating thing. And message me if you do it, and let me know how you get on. I'm intrigued with when I always give things out to how it affects people and the result you get. So do message me and let me know how you get on with it. Fascinating way of getting rid of stories. Fast. It's 4 days. 4 days gone. You can do it over a 4-week period. You can do one a week, 4 weeks. But I'm a person who want to get it all done at once. I'll do one a day. But don't do twice a day. Just do one every day. You want to have a bit of a gap, because there's processes that come up with that during the day. And you'll go into your dream state with it as well, because it'll come up in your dream state parts of it as well. So it's useful, very useful. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you today. And so that's how you get rid of the mark. That's one of the ways you get rid of the story. Fascinating. Let me know. Try it and let me know how you get on. Watch what all the other stories that come up that are attached to it. It's like a root. It's a root of the story that goes out into all these branches. But you notice all the other branches that come from it, that have come up in your life from that same story, from that same one story about feeling like somebody took something off you, somebody stole something, they took part of you away. And then you realize that heavens, it comes up in partnerships, and comes up relationships with your parents, comes up in relationship, all based on that same story about somebody thinking somebody took something off you, and somehow you lost something. And yeah, it just opens up this huge can of worms, which is such a fantastic thing. And then you get your next one for the next 4 days will come out of that. Something else will come up. I think you spend your whole time getting rid of these stories. As I've said it before, I wrote my first book, my book on living with a full cup. It's about 40 different stories and how I got rid of them. I've got enough for about another 2 books, so I just haven't had time to write it. But other stories that have come up and how I got rid of them as well. The stories that I was given as a child were not even true, but I really believe they were. I believe that's the way people should act, and that's the way I should act, because that's what I was taught. And I've just challenged all those stories. They've just been made up. They're not actually serving me in the slightest. They're all they're doing is holding me ransom to a story that's not even true. I think it's such an important process to get rid of it, to be free from them. And you can think, and people say, well, you don't have to go back to the story. You can just focus on the positive and have affirmations for the positive. They're there, but the story still remains as memories. So you still can click back into the memory. Even though you're doing that positive, this is what I feel today, something will happen will just trigger the story. So I reckon go back to the story and disempower the story is a better way of doing it myself. But as I say, everybody has their own ways that works best for them. That's my story for the day about stories. Anyway. Mark, you have ones too, don't you? You have ways of breaking the stories anyway, I think we've talked about this.
Well, I think maybe the best way is just to do our practices.
Yeah, well, it's going to
when you have stories, that's basically a blockage.
Yeah.
A great tool for working with blockages is Tai Chi and Qi Gong and the monastery. So do your practices. As your energy level rises, it'll break through those sort of blockages that hold you back, including emotional blockages, not just physiological blockages.
Yep.
And it's not something that happens like what you're talking about, like you get rid of something in a day, but do your practices and the stories, I think, will evaporate.
Yeah,
as time goes by.
I totally agree. As you evolve from your practice, and your consciousness changes because you become more aware, self-aware of yourself, self-aware of your own energy, self-aware of more spending time in this present moment. And the more you're in the present moment, those stories don't live in the present moment. They just live in memories in your head. But in the present moment, they don't live. So what you're saying is so correct, because every time we come back to that, there's no place for them. There's no place, and it just isn't there. They don't live there. And then you realize when you're in the present moment, they are just stories that you made them up, or society's made them up, and you just agreed with them. And I think it's a great practice. Is a great way to get rid of them. It's just a longer period. I'm just saying there's a shorter way of getting a particular story and get rid of it pretty quick if you want it.
I was also thinking when I've done the extreme things in the Native American world, like sweat lodges or vision quest or sun dances, those don't have a specific story you're getting rid of, but the experiences are so intense.
Yeah.
I think they change the stories. So doing things like that, I think also change the stories.
I 100% agree. I mean, inside anywhere where you're uncomfortable, I've done a few sweat lodges, and inside that place where you feel like you're almost dying inside because it's that hot. Feel like you're breathing to survive inside that space. And what it does is bring up your innermost fears of life, of your own things you attach to your life, and how you see your own life and how you see life itself comes up in those extreme places. And so it's hard you can't hide from them because they become really real. And so our mind's very good at running away from stories, but in a place like that, you can't run, there's nowhere to go. You just cook it. And
exactly.
I think it's a very, very cool experience. If you haven't even done Sweet Lodge, people, do one. Josephine's done one. I've done one with Josephine as well. We did a mixed one as well. It's full on. Hey, I can see why they did it. I understand the principle of it. I don't know, it's like 3-4 hours, I think we're in one of them. 4 hours inside that space was just intense. Intense. I'm joking, it was in the teepee. My humour today. Oh, I didn't mind.
Yeah, it's just so intense, it cuts through all the bullshit. And the only things that are relevant are the only things that remain.
Yeah, well, there's nothing left except survival, is it? You're just surviving now. I'm just got to live. So all the things that aren't involved in that just disappear because none of them are relevant anymore. One of them are relevant. I'm just surviving, working out how I can put my mouth close to the ground as possible and breathe the cool air off the ground, closest to the ground I can get, just to breathe in slowly so I don't get too much heat. That's survival. Fascinating. Fascinating to take me to that place. You've done a few, Mark, haven't you? You've done a few sweat lodges, but you've also done that dance too, haven't you? You've done that non-stop dancing for 4 days or whatever it is. That's that particular practice. I'm not sure. I don't think. It's got a name, hasn't it, Mark? That where you dance, where you do the dancing, and you don't eat.
Sundance.
Sundance, yeah.
Sundance.
You don't eat, and do you drink during it as well, or no drinking as well?
No water, no food for 4 days.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Man, you're going to go into that space, aren't you? How can you not go into that space of survival when you do that? Your whole body.
Well, the thing is, it's a sacred circle, half a sphere is created, so you're in an energy circle. So the energy of all the dancers accumulates in the circle. So it becomes actually, it's an altered reality.
Yeah.
Because when we were doing it, actually was about 35 degrees. We all should have died if we're not eating and drinking in 35-degree heat for 4 days and dancing for 20 hours a day. So what we did was physiologically impossible. But the thing is, within the circle, it was not the same reality as outside the circle.
Yeah, right.
Because there was so much energy in the circle. Because the circle was constructed so the energy would build and build and build.
Right.
And then when the circle is finally broken, all that energy went into the everything, and the intent is to heal the earth. So all that energy went into healing the earth and whatever other prayers you may have said. So
how did you feel after it? I mean, because when you're inside that energetic field, so you're being supported by that energy. What happens when the energy goes away and after 4 days and you're very, very hungry? I'm not sure. Do you watch? Is it washed out? Do you feel pretty fatigued after that when you come outside of that energy field?
Talking about 20 years ago. So,
Yeah, I love it. I have a friend who's just done one last year.
as I recall,
I want to do that. I'm intrigued, but I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued where it takes you to into that space. I like having experiences, life experiences, or body experiences. And I try just about every modality, every healing modality that I know of. Every time I hear one I haven't had, I go and try. But I haven't had that one, and I've heard about it. So, but I've never been around anywhere that they do that. So I must somewhere locate. Somebody must be doing it here, but they do them all here. They do all those practices here. Somewhere I must go and actually experience. It sounds fantastic.
we actually did the easy version. In the original version, you actually pierce your breast with an eagle claw and dance with an eagle claw through your breast for 4 days. We didn't do that part of it, but
Okay, that's a whole other level, isn't it?
yes.
I like it. I like it. My friend did it in Bolivia, in a retreat center in Bolivia, and that I think it was close to the Amazon, so it was based on a traditional method. And he did it. I can't remember the exactly, but he did it. But I know he's going back there one day, and I said that I'd go back to Bolivia when he goes back there, and I might see if we can find out when he's going to do one and actually do one of those, have one of that experience and what that feels like. I'm fascinated by where it takes you consciously. I mean, you've got to get, as you say, you shouldn't survive in it. You should all die of hypothermia, over heat exhaustion, and you don't. So there's something else happening in that energetic field that's creating that everybody's okay. And I'm intrigued with that.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued what actually happens. Yeah.
It's well, you get into a place where it's just energy. And it's I guess some people get evolved enough where they don't even need to eat anymore. They become breatharians.
Yeah.
And actually, there's, I guess, a step beyond that. I read some people actually don't even need air. They just are able to pull energy out of the ether into their bodies. They don't even have to breathe. It's like one step past the breatharian.
Yeah, yeah, no breatharian.
Yeah.
I mean, but then it brings questions, Mark, about who are we really? Who are we really
Yes.
that we can survive in that environment with no food, no water, and we're surviving off the breath, or get to the stage you're not even breathing, you're still surviving? Then who are we really? Who is the mechanism that we're living in, this physical body mechanism? What's this other part that it can do that we don't normally live in? I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day when Raina was born, and I gave birth. Well, I didn't give birth. Josephine gave birth to Raina, and I was holding her under the water, and I was sitting under the water. He was just sitting there. I didn't pull him out. I just sit in the water because they're still breathing. They're breathing through the umbilical cord under the water, and he's not breathing out his mouth. He's sitting there, and he's like a fish. And I just hold him there and said, "That's bizarre. He doesn't need to breathe under the water. He's surviving underwater." So then once you come out, of course, it takes the first breath, and you can't do that anymore because then you drown if you go back and do it again. But with one phase of our life, we could actually survive in water. We could actually survive in water. I know we're breathing through the middle, but we're still surviving in water. Okay. So then what else can we do? Can we survive with no food and water? And we can. Somehow they've worked out a way that has been traditional things been handed down through thousands of years, where your body can survive, and you can survive, your consciousness can survive in a physical form with no food, no air, no air and no water. Who are we really? What's the mechanism really all about? I'm fascinated by that. So you just inspired me even more, Mark, to want to go and do that now.
And Walter talks about this quite a bit. He did a lot of stuff where it raised his vibration. I think you can do things that raise your vibration so much that what would normally be considered miraculous things happen.
Yeah, beyond.
So like the sun dance I did raised your vibration. Sweat lodges raise your vibration. They raise your vibrations extremely, a lot. Unfortunately, comes back down to earth once the sweat lodge is over, but during the course of the ceremony, your vibration increases dramatically. It happens in the sun dance. It happens in other intense ceremonies. So the thing is, what can you do to sort of do that to raise your vibration? Walter had sounds like he had a lot of experiences where he was in raised vibration
Yeah,
environments. So
he was, and they had lots of different ways of doing it as well. And we change our vibration through the Qi Gong, so that's our version of that. And we can be really a different experience in the Qi Gong. So it's another door. I mean, they do it through sound therapies. They do it through they do it through that sweat, the cold plunges, and being in the ice takes you into that place because your body changes because it's
yeah.
a survival mode. They do it through the breathing, the breath practices. So there's lots of different ways they do it. There's just some way more extreme, so the body reacts more extreme to the environment. But phenomenal, our body, how it survives, it's bloody clever. It's whoever created this thing, it's clever how it's designed and what you can do with it and what you can't do with it. Yeah, fascinating.
I think
Fascinated by all that and all of these
fasting
practices.
fasting would raise your vibration,
Yeah,
I would think.
all of these things.
I guess that you've been on that special diet now for quite a while.
Yeah, yes,
I wonder what that's doing to your vibration.
well, I can tell you what my experience is of it. So, and the fasting, the intermittent. So I've been, for people who don't know, I've been intermittent fasting for a long time now, since June last year. So it's close to a year, isn't it? And also been doing 1 and 2, 3 day fasts, and the change has been quite miraculous in how it's affected my energy in my body. But my consciousness has changed. That's the thing that's got me, is how clear my mind is and how clear I see things in the world, how clear I see myself and my own behavior. I watch myself in my own head behaving. It's bizarre. It's like what's being an observer of yourself. And it's changing it, but energetically wise, clearer, so much more power, so much more energy, so much clearer. And I've also changed my diet too. So I've been doing the equivalent of keto. So I haven't been doing carbohydrates. So I've stopped the carbohydrate intake. So I'm burning oil. So I burn the oil from the olive oil, from the avocados, from nuts. So I'm getting my energy from the oil, not getting it from carbohydrates. And the theory is you should be able to do both, from oils and carbohydrates, and be able to switch from the two. But because my diet before, and most people's diets, are really heavy carbohydrate diets, where we get most of our energy from carbohydrates, turns into glucose, we get our power from that. But what the problem with the carbohydrates is, of course, it's pretty fattening. You get fat because if the body doesn't use the carbohydrates up for your output for the day, it just stores it as fat. So it's really easy to get that out of balance. And so you start storing carbohydrates as fat. But if you just use your carbohydrates and use the same amount of carbohydrates as the physical output every day, you wouldn't put weight on. But that's not what happens, unfortunately. The problem is you'll end up quite often overeating carbohydrates, and then it just stores it straight away. So I've lost a huge amount of weight from it and feel so much better. So we're burning oil now. And the oil burn is different than carbohydrates. The energy you get from oils from the as I say, from the avocado and from olive oil, from the oil from the nuts. Very different fuel. The carbohydrates, you get quite a kick from the carbohydrates, but you get a burnout where you get the hit from the carbs, and then you get flattened you out after it. Where the oil's quite constant, you just maintain this energy level at quite a maintained level. You don't get the spike. You don't get the high carbohydrate spike, the sugar spike. And so it's quite different in my reaction to how it's affecting my body. But my biggest thing is how it affects my conscience, how clear everything I see with it. That's the one that I'm really surprised with. I didn't know that was going to happen. I heard about it, but I wasn't sure how that was going to manifest itself. But it has changed, and how calm I am in the world, how less attached I am to things in the world, how simple things are great. The simple things become really important. Me sitting playing Lego with my son, what were we doing the other day? We were painting together. Just those things become really important, and you're just in the present moment, just doing this one thing, and just being completely happy with that. Don't want to be anywhere else in the world. Just content with doing that, hanging out with my son, and we're talking to each other, and having that communication with my son, where I'm listening to him, and he's been heard by his father. that he can actually hear me, and I'm asking questions. He asks me, says something, I ask him about what he just said. I never got that as a kid. My father never talked to me. I didn't know how to do it. It wasn't that he just didn't know how to talk to me. But to actually talk to your son and for the son to hear you, and then I say to him, I hear exactly what you said, and I think it's very cool you think like that. And to actually tell an 8-year-old that he's actually being heard, phenomenal. Phenomenal how that's going to think. I don't know how it's going to think, I don't know, but I just know I didn't get that. And so that's really cool. So that's the thing that diet has done, has brought me back into a space of really honouring that sort of connection. I go and sit and talk to someone, I just sit and talk to them, and my mind's nowhere else except talking to the person. Like I'm sitting here talking to you guys. I'm cued into my friend Mark, who I'm talking to at the moment, and I'm sitting with Mark in his room, in his house with him, talking to him. So it's right beside each other. That's what it feels like. My mind's nowhere else in the world except for this communication with me and Mark's soul, your soul, my soul, talking to each other. And there's something really special with that. And it's just got stronger with the diet. I don't get distracted so much. So that's answer to your question. It's made a difference. And I'm really happy. Reaction.
Maybe that's the solution to the world's problems. We just need to change our diets.
Oh, I tell you what,
It's a solution. Unfortunately, it's hard to get people to change their diet.
Oh, I think that the food, you hear me talk a lot about this. I think, one of the things about, the big thing I always talk about sleep. And sleep's one of the big things of health is about sleep. You've got to sleep. That's the one of the number one on health is sleep. If people don't sleep enough, they're tired. But two's got to be food. If you change your diet and you had really good quality food and then you went to bed early, your whole life would be different. Everything changes. It's really that simple. Food is an enormous big piece. When I go out to restaurants and look at the menu, I don't want to eat anything. I go into a supermarket, there's nothing in the supermarket I buy. Not even the vegetables, because I don't know where they come from. I buy them organic. I don't know how much sprays and pesticides have been put on that fruit. I don't want to buy it. So and everything in the packet and there's got something sort of to make it preserve, to keep it so it lasts longer, and I don't want to have that either. So you get to the stage where if you want to have that level of vibrational health inside your body, you become very careful what you put in it, especially when it comes to food. So, and I notice if I have something that's not quite right, I go out, I had something the other day where I had a samosa the other day. And I was eating the pastry or the dough thing around the samosa, and I go, God, I just don't even want that pastry in my body. I don't even want it is. I don't want flour it needs or anything. I just don't even want it. And I said to Josie, am I getting just too fussy with it? She said, nah, it's just your vibration. You just know if you eat that, your vibration changes. I said, it does. It affects me. It flattens me out. But I don't want to feel flat. I want to keep this other feeling. And so the food is enormous. But the problem is all the food that we see as comfort food that we normally eat, it's not on the diet. None of it is. And so I go, okay, so now I'm eating really pure food. So when I go out at night times, I'm going to eat food and I go, oh, what am I meant to eat? So tricky. Where at least at home I can monitor what I'm going to have. But when I go out, I don't know where the food's come from. I don't know where the lettuces come from. I don't know how much spray's on the lettuce. I don't know how much spray's on the tomatoes. And I just, it becomes awkward. It's not. The good thing about intermittent fasting is that I finish eating at 3 o'clock, so I go out, I'm not eating anyway. So I can get out of it that way. So I just say, I know I'm fasting, so I don't have any dinner. Because I don't want to lose the feeling. I don't want to lose what this feels like. I don't want to lose this extraordinary clarity. I don't want to lose it. And so, you're reluctant to give it away just for something that tastes nice. It tastes nice and you go, yeah, but I know what's going to happen. Even though it tastes good, I know what I'm going to do to me. And so I think you get to the stage you just don't want to lose it. And maybe it's because I've got a bit older now too. I'm a bit more fussy about how I feel. I don't know. When I was young, I didn't really care. Drinking, smoking, it was fine. Everything was fine. I didn't care. I think I'm probably more worried about it now. Now I'm getting a bit older. I just want to feel good every day. Anyway, mate, thanks for asking that question. So I think it's important. And sleep and food, huge. Oh, I can't stress. They're the 2 keys to the whole of life, pretty much. So, and the Qi Gong practice, of course. The Qi Gong practice. It's the thing that keeps you healthy. It just keeps your energy moving, keeps you full of energy. It just That's the other piece. Exercise, you've got to exercise. So that's sleep, food, exercise. You've got to do those three and you'll be pretty well. That's it. You can't go past those three and you'll be pretty good. Other than that. And even if you have a stressful life, because you have those other three, you'll find that even the stress will be different. Because you'll deal with it differently.